Welcome back, artists. This week we're making sewn stuffies. So you're gonna need a couple of materials here. You're gonna need some felt. You can get this at the dollar store. It's pretty inexpensive in whatever color you're gonna need for your stuffy. I'm gonna be making a monster today, but you can see you can make an animal, a food, whatever you want. You're also gonna need polyfill stuffing, or sometimes I'll use wadded up tissues or cotton balls to stuff inside of your stuffy. And then you're gonna need a needle and thread. So I'm gonna show you how to thread the needle, how to make the pattern for your stuffy, and then how to construct it. So go ahead and grab all your materials and let's get started on our sewn stuffies. Okay, artists, once you have your main color of felt that you're gonna use for the base, we can go ahead and draw and cut out the pattern. So if you were making a pizza, you would cut out a triangle. I'm gonna do a monster, so I'm gonna cut out a regular kind of rectangle. And here's what I did. I took the full sheet of felt and I folded it in half. This way I can kind of save myself some time on sewing if I leave the fold in, and that's gonna be one side I don't have to sew up, so it'll make it go a little bit faster. So I'm just gonna start with my monster's body, and I'm just gonna do a basic rectangle shape. So draw whatever shape of the stuffy that you're making, and then you're gonna need to grab your scissors to go ahead and cut this out. Okay, once you have your scissors, go ahead and cut that shape out. And it can be a little bit difficult to cut the felt, so just go slowly. And it does help if you use the top of the scissors next to the handles rather than the bottoms, which might be kind of dull. Okay, so I have the shape cut out for my monster. I'm going to leave it folded and sew up the sides. And you're gonna need to leave a little hole at the bottom to put the stuffing in. If you have a Sharpie outline, if you use marker and you don't wanna see it, you can always just turn the felt inside out like that so that you don't see the lines. Okay, the next step's going to be to thread our needle and sew. So this part can be frustrating if you're doing it for the first time, but don't give up. It is easy once you get the hang of it. Okay, so grab your thread, and I'm using pink to match this. It doesn't have to match, it can be whatever color you have. And then I'm using a larger needle just so that I can show you guys how to thread it. So you'll notice there's a hole in the top of the needle, and that's called the eye. So we're gonna take the thread and push it through the eye of the needle. So let me see if I can get you guys to see that. It should be coming through the other side so that you can pull it through. Okay, now we're going to keep going. We're gonna double up our thread. So I want you to pull this tail down and keep going. We want it long enough. I'm gonna try to sew mine all in one go so that I don't have to get another one. So I'm gonna make it pretty long, about as long as my arm, and cut it. So you should have on one end your needle threaded, and on the other end you should have two tails of thread. And then what we need to do is take these two tails and tie them in a knot. So I'm going to grab the two together, and this is how my grandma taught me to tie a knot. Any way you can get a knot at the end is fine. I'm gonna wrap it a couple of times around my pointer finger, 2 or 3 times, and then I'm gonna roll it back and forth. This is gonna make it tangle up. Once you can feel it all grouping together and making a big knot, you can roll it off your finger and then take the top of that knot and pull it down, and that's gonna give you a big knot at the bottom. So now we're ready to sew. Okay, grab your needle, and we're gonna start anywhere you want. I'm gonna go ahead and start at the top and go over, down, and then close it. If you wanna hide the knot, you can start your needle on the inside so that you don't see it. It also doesn't really matter if you just wanna start it on the top. So pull it through, and if your knot's good, it should stop. If the whole thread comes through, that means you gotta retie your knot. It's not closed enough. Okay, so now we're gonna stitch this. So I'm gonna do a running stitch where I'm just gonna go back and forth. So I'm gonna go down, and you can see the little stitch it makes. I'm gonna flip it over, and then I'm just gonna go down again. Okay, so we're gonna do this all the way across. Let me show you from the top so that you can see it. I'm just going in and out of each side. So I'm coming through, and then I'm going back through the other way. There's no wrong way to stitch this shut. If you do a whip stitch and you're going over the top like that, that's fine. Anything that's gonna close this up works for me. Okay, I'm going to speed this up while I sew the rest of it shut. Remember, don't close it all the way yet. We need to leave a little hole at the bottom so that we can fill it with stuffing. Okay, once you get to a point where the whole thing is sewn closed, but you have an opening for your filling, we're gonna go ahead and stuff the filling. And then I'm gonna show you how to cut the needle off and tie a knot. If your thread did not make it all the way down, that's fine. You're gonna tie this knot, I'm gonna show you, rethread it, and just finish where you left off. So right now I'm gonna put my stuffing in. So it might be fun to make it really, really full of stuffing, but then sometimes that makes our seams pop. So I'm just gonna put enough to fill it up, but not so that it's super packed full. If your hole's really small, you can use a pencil or something to help you push it down. Okay, once you have it pretty stuffed, we're gonna go ahead and close it up. So I'm gonna finish sewing the rest of the way closed. Go all the way to the end. You don't want to leave a little space because then the stuffing will fall out. Okay, now this is the great part about how we doubled our thread. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right at the needle's eye. And now you have 2 pieces of thread left. So that means we can tie these in a knot together and make a good knot that's not going to fall apart. So I want you to go ahead and tie 2 or 3 knots. Picture your shoelaces. You want to double or triple knot them so it doesn't come off. Once you feel like you've tied it enough times that it's pretty secure, you can grab your scissors and cut the rest of that tail off. Okay, so now we have our stuffing made. The last part is to decorate it. So I went ahead and used, and I'll show you some scraps of other felt that I had, and cut out arms, legs, eyes, everything else to decorate it. Now, if you're making a pizza, you might be doing toppings, or if you did an animal, you might be drawing with Sharpie or cutting out extras on there. So I'm gonna use Elmer's glue to glue all this onto my stuffy, but if you wanna use hot glue, that works a lot better. If you have like Aleene's fabric glue, that works good as well. And we can go ahead and start decorating. So I'm gonna use the liquid Elmer's and go ahead and put a face on this one. Okay, you could go ahead and add hair to it. You can add a nose, any kind of features you want, and then you are gonna let this dry for a while. It's gonna take a little bit for that glue to dry so that the things aren't falling off of it. Okay, I hope you guys had fun learning how to sew if you haven't done it before and making your own little stuffy. We would love to see what you worked on if you wanna send us a picture, and I'll see you guys next week for another art project. Bye.